Welcome to the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong, and today we have another great guest. I've been very fortunate to be on her show. We had such a blast, and I just couldn't wait to have her on. So here she is today. She is a powerhouse when it comes to real estate investing. She is an absolute expert. In fact, she's been helping a lot of people gain more confidence and get more knowledge, and also get clarity when it comes to investing in real estate. In turn, helping people get empowered to take control of their own lives and not just surviving in it. Now, not only does she have a passion in real estate and in helping people, she also has this huge passion when it comes to the field of medicine as well. She is the author of the book From Cocoon to CEO. So please welcome real estate investor, expert, podcast host, award-winning author, Ms. ALKA Sharma.
Thank you so much, Fong. It's great to be on your show. Great to be
Hey,
with you.
thank you for being here. Always enjoy speaking with people who are so successful in what they do. And that therefore leads to my very first question is, how did you get to where you are today? Like, how did one person come out and go, you know what, I'm going to be this amazing real estate person and then also help people become better in real estate and then have this passion in medicine and all these different things? How did you get to this spot that we are right now?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I've always had a huge passion when it comes to empowering others. When it comes to empowering not only myself and how I had to navigate those challenges of my life, but after I got divorced. After that, I was left broke. I was financially broke, emotionally and internally broke, and navigating my life through those difficult, challenging, dark moments of my life equipped me. I had to. It's not, I had a huge, um, a huge knowing that, my life, where it was going and how I needed to navigate. So from that moment on, after I was broke, I navigated through those difficult times and, empowered myself. And the first thing that I needed to do to be self-confident, to be independent, to be self-reliant and financially stable, because I had two small kids at that time, and to put food and provide shelter for my kids. And so I was doing everything that I need to do. I was working three jobs at that time. And so you need to do whatever it takes to create a life of success. If you know where you are heading, if you know the path that you are going towards, you will do anything to make that happen. And this is exactly what I did. So that was my defining moment when I was broke, or if you are in debt, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to just crumble and die and just go inside your cocoon? Or are you going to say, no, I want to live a life of success. I want to do whatever it takes so that I can provide for my kids and so that I can provide a life of financial stability. And that's why real estate came about. How that came. Well, first of all, I had to learn about money and finance. That was the most important. I was never taught about that even in my marriage. I was never told about money. I was never told how much we had in the joint bank account. I wasn't told anything. So I had to learn about money and finances. And then slowly real estate came, which is, has been a huge, it's been a vehicle that I can honestly say that, if you're looking to build that financial stability, real estate is the vehicle that you want to get into.
Why real estate? What made you choose that's the path to go through?
Why real estate? Because real estate, you build cash flow in the property, you're building equity in the property. And so I bought my first investment property at the end of 2021. So even so during pandemic, I bought my first investment property, and it was rental. I rented it out to tenants, and it was a duplex. That was the moment of my life too. That was the defining moment. And I said, okay, you know what? I am now on this path of being self-reliant. I don't need anyone to to take care of me. I can be the woman who is empowered. And now for the first time, I began to feel good. And this is what I want to share with your audience, is that you need to know how you are going to really equip your life.
That is
Okay, because
amazing.
you are the one that you have to make that. You have to live your life every single day, but to feel empowered and every single day, what are you doing? What are the choices that you are making that really will set you forward to set you on the path of success? So, real estate, when I bought my first investment property, it was building cash flow, and I had amazing tenants. And so I can honestly say, when you renting out to your tenants, you can work with a real estate agent. I worked with an agent, and we together, we screen the tenants. So real estate for me is my vehicle of choice.
That is awesome. So from the time you said, you know what, I'm gonna change my life around. I'm gonna start learning more about finances. I'm gonna start learning about real estate. From that moment to getting your first property, how long was that?
Oh, that was about a year and a half before I began to learn. And also, when I was learning along the way, like with my realtor, I would always ask her questions, because there's got to be a time when you have to be curious. And I never was before, but then slowly that curiosity came. And I would always ask my real estate agent, I would ask her questions. Every time we went for a viewing, we saw many properties, and this was the one that I liked. So we saw six, out of the five, I liked this one. But apart from that, you've got to be curious, you've got to ask questions. And I was also doing due diligence on what do I need to know about the NOI, about the cap rate on that property. You have to do due diligence. I mean, does that investment make sense? I mean, if you're working with a realtor, they have their own projections, but you have to go out, even before you step out the door, you need to know, okay, what is your budget? And so you got to know, what is that budget? What does it look like? What is the number that you have in mind? Is it 1.5? So that number, when you know the back of your mind what that is, then no matter what the realtor is going to show you, if the property value is above, is that 2 million, well, then you shouldn't go for that, because that was not in your budget. So always budgetize. So that's exactly what I did. I would always do my due diligence to making sure to learn about the property. And learning, is so powerful. Knowledge is power, but knowledge without the implementation is never wise. So always make sure that you are doing the due diligence. You're learning as much as possible about real estate, and you will never go wrong.
That's awesome. Now, I know that as investors, it's not always smooth sailing. Is
No.
there any case or story that you can share with us where things just didn't go your way, and then how did you navigate through that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the things that never do go your way, uh, you know, things can never go your way in terms of the deal that you wanted, in terms of anything. But what I can share, we were looking out the six properties that we viewed. One of the properties I liked. And this property was a luxury. It was a beautiful property. It was a luxury property. And the whole point that I liked about this one is that I wanted to rent it out at once upon a time. I did want to rent it. So the basement had a huge potential that if um, I could build like 2-bedroom suites. And but what ended up happening, the property was around 2 million. And I knew that that was not in my budget. And that's what I'm talking about, budget, that you do have to make sure that, where the budget, you have to budgetize, and where do you go. So this is where I go wrong. And this is what I'm teaching your audience, is not to make the mistake that I did. So what did I do? Well, from that moment on, because every experience, every deal, every situation, you're always learning. And when I learned from that property that it was 2 million, oh my gosh, it's not in my budget. I had to then, the future properties that we saw, I made a plan. I was crystal clear as to what was that budget. Was it 1.5? Was it even 2 million? Then you reverse engineer. So when you're looking for future properties, you know that that is the number at the back of your mind, then you can never go wrong. And so I did go wrong, but then the future properties is when I began to realize that, yeah, when you budget, you know exactly what is that number, then the properties that you are buying, then you can't go wrong. So that's what that is one situation, one scenario that I do want to share, because it was a huge, um, it was a huge, I mean, it was a luxury property on top of that, and it was too much.
Now, during that period of time when you're like moving towards real estate and investing, your life is changing, you're learning all this new stuff, all these doors are opening, all these opportunities are opening. But there are people who will tell you, hey, that's not the way to go, or it's too risky. Why are you learning about money? Just put it in the bank. Simple as that. Why are you learning about all this stuff? Why are you putting money into real estate? Put it in the bank. And people are trying to pull you back, not because they're against you, but they care for you. They want you to take the less risky route. How did you talk or converse with people who are caring for you, but that advice just didn't jive with what you wanted to do?
That's a great question. And I absolutely love that. And why that really, that is such a pivotal point, because when, for example, when I got into my first business, and my first business was in the health and fitness space, 6 years ago, I opened a fitness studio just north of Steeles. And I knew nothing about the health and fitness space. I knew nothing, but I knew that I wanted to go into that business. I wanted to open a studio that women can feel empowered. It doesn't matter about your shape or your size. I wanted to make a community of women that felt welcomed in that space, right? So, because I knew my story when I was 21 years of age and I was chubby, I had, I lacked the self-confidence, self-esteem only because physically how I looked. And so when I walked into that gym for the first time, I was petrified because there were all these fit bodied people, and I didn't measure up to that because of how I looked. And that really put me off. And I just walked out that gym. So fast forward, when I wanted to open my studio, and I did open my studio, I ran a successful studio for 6 years. And then during COVID came, so gyms were challenging like all over the world, as we know. So I sold my studio, and that's when I quickly transitioned to real estate. So when we talk about the risk, even when I was starting my business, people would tell me, you know nothing about fitness. How are you going to open a studio? What are you going to do? What if clients don't show up? I listened. The one tip I will share is don't listen to the external noise. If you know inside your gut you want to go into that business, do it. Whether it's in a beauty salon or whether you don't know anything about the beauty salon, just do it. Trust yourself. But that's where it comes. Trust, intuition, and knowing the belief inside of you. The belief, that's 100%. As we know, Fong, as Napoleon Hill says, the mind which believes can achieve. But if you don't believe in yourself, the abilities that you have to run a successful business, you will never run. So what I will share is do not listen to the external noise, because people always are out there to give you opinions, good or bad.
That's true. And sometimes those opinions may not be given because they want you to fail. They're given so that
Yes,
they want you to be safe, right? And safe may or may not necessarily be the best path. Now,
absolutely.
you were
Yes.
able to navigate through the COVID times in real estate. And during that period of time, it's very difficult for a lot of investors out there because one, you may or may not be able to do showings for tenants, and the tenants may or may not have jobs because of the situation and whatnot. What did you do differently to be able to be good in your real estate career during that period of time where others failed?
Well, what you need to do that's different is that and how you actually stand out. You stand out by doing more of what is not being done, right? So during COVID, people were maybe not showing more of, but if you know that that is what you need to do, that is your path, that is what you're 100% good at, you want to stand out. And by standing out is doing more, showing people more viewing, showing people as to what is possible, what you can do, what they can do. And so if that's the only way you will differentiate. It doesn't matter what the upturn or the downturn of the market is, because that's is always the case. And you're always going to have that. But then how does one stand out in the marketplace is by owning is by owning your space. And by owning your space is to know that, okay, this is my lane. I'm good at this. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And always measure. And this is what I always do, Fong. I'm not sure what are your, what do you find best in what are your methodologies? I'm always measuring as to where I was during COVID time or not COVID time, but I always measure as to where I am, because the reason why it's so important to do that and why I do that is because I always want to be better every time. And so if you don't have a yardstick, if you don't have a methodology that you are measuring every single day, then how are you going to improve? Right?
True.
So you want to improve all the time. And, don't rely on how the markets are doing. Rely on what are you doing? How are you doing better? How are you doing better from your competition?
Mhm.
Because your competition, yes, they're doing good. But if you want to do what they are doing and you want to go over and beyond, and I think that's been the catalyst of how I live and how I do things. I'm always measuring against myself. It's not about the competition, but it's about being creative. So don't compete, but create. What can you do and how can you be better to stand out?
No, not only that, but it also gives you, well, actually you're competing against your previous self and you're always winning. You're
Yes,
always you're
absolutely.
always going ahead of your previous person. And that kind of leads me to my next question is that it also allows you to kind of reflect back and be proud and happy about what you've accomplished. And a lot of people kind of lose sight of that. They don't have confidence or self-esteem about who they are, what they do, until you kind of bring up all these other things that they've actually achieved in the past. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, I have done that, or yeah, I do feel good about this. So my question is like, when it comes to confidence, and it's something that's very, very important, and we've mentioned that a few times, how do you help somebody gain confidence and maintain that confidence? Because you could be confident for a day or a few hours, and all of a sudden you're at this down low, or something happens and you just lose it all, right? How do you gain and then maintain confidence?
100%. Oh, wow. That's a great question. Well, first of all, is built. Confidence is built about by the daily practices. By the daily practices, what are you doing each and every day? And how I began the confidence that when I lacked self-confidence, lacked the self-esteem when I was in my teens. And then even after my divorce, how did I, from being in that cocoon to becoming a woman that is empowered, and how did that come? So that is what I want to share. And that's the pivotal moment when I was inside that cocoon. You're protected, you're sheltered when you're inside that cocoon. And I never had a space to grow. Even in my teens, I was always sheltered and protected. So I didn't evolve and I didn't grow. So I lacked the self-confidence. So how did I go from being inside that cocoon to becoming a strong woman, to be an independent woman, to be financially independent. But how did I do that? Well, how I did that was I needed was the mindset. I broke out. You have to break out the cocoon. If you know that your life is meant for more, then you are deserving of more, then you can do more and you will have more. So your mindset, and we also talked about that when you were on my show, we talked about mindset, how your mindset really helps you to be where where you are to where you want to go. So that's where confidence does come, is your mindset. You need to rewire. So your paradigms pretty much always hold you back. So we want to take 10 steps forward to our success, but we take 5 steps back because you know what? Those doubts, those limiting beliefs that I will never be successful, I can't achieve this, oh, it's too difficult. We're always saying that. And so there came a point that you have to then rewire. And this is exactly what I did. From being inside that cocoon, then stepping out and then becoming empowered and to becoming confident. So confidence is built. Confidence is built by your habits, by rewiring your old habits, your old paradigms, your old limiting beliefs that were holding you back from then today you have to then work at it. But you know what? It's always work. And most people, yes, they want to achieve success, but a lot of people do not want to do that even to maintain where they are. And if they want to take that 10 step forward to where they are, they don't want to do it because that reach takes a lot. It takes effort. But if you're not willing to take the effort, then you're not going to grow and then you're not going to evolve and then you'll always be at a plateau.
That's very, very true. I mean, just today I was speaking to an individual and I was asking them, so why are we having this conversation? And he goes, well, I really want to become a better speaker. I want to be able to really motivate people and all that kind of stuff. I wanted my daughter to be able to speak the way great speakers speak. And I'm like, so how come you're not doing? He's like, well, see, I sign up for stuff and I just don't show up to it. And I sign up for this and I don't do my speeches. I'm like, well, the problem is you're not finding the right motivator. You're not finding that fire inside you to hold yourself accountable. So I guess that leads to my next question is how does a person find the right fire, find the right accountability matrix so that they're able to actually commit to something and stay with it?
Wow. So let's take for example speaking. If you always wanted to become a great speaker, you want to get into that profession perhaps. One of the best ways that you can is to find groups, is to find chapters maybe in your area where you live. Like say for example, join the BNI or join the Toastmasters, join the Toronto Chamber of Commerce. So join a chamber of commerce. These groups are actually one of the best ways that can really help you to elevate in your profession, if that's a profession, the endeavor you want to get into. And by honing and mastering, because everything that you do is mastery. And Fong, you are the best. You are teaching, speakers and entrepreneurs, to be their best. And so this is what needs to happen. You have to just join a group or find a mentor. If you're finding a mentor, they have to be aligned with your vision. Number one. So if you're looking for if you're going into real estate and you want to find a mentor, because a mentor is going to be fast, it's going to be quick. And so that's your learning curve. Faster, quicker, and better is a mentor. But a mentor also needs to be aligned with your goals. If the mentor isn't aligned with your goals, but you know you have those goals to succeed in real estate, then that is not the mentor for you. So always do your due diligence before you find a mentor. I mean, there are so many mentors out there. So, you know, who is the best one? Well, the best is by recommendation, by referrals, talking to people as to who have they had in their corner that has helped in their industry. So this is one of the best ways that we can do if speaking is your endeavor. Find a mentor and then join the groups that will lead to your success.
And it also opens up a whole new world to you, right? Once you
Yes,
join
it
these
does.
groups, you show up, you notice that all these other people are doing certain things and they're at different levels of what it is that you want to achieve. And all of a sudden you see, hey, little by little, you could catch up to this one, you could catch up to that one, or you can match that one. And then you're so much farther ahead than where you were before you joined the group.
That's it.
Now,
And it's all about accountability, because they'll hold you accountable. And it's up to you as well to ask questions. Because, I mean, if you're new and you're observing the group, it's up to you to ask questions. But people in the group, I joined the Toastmasters about, 3 years ago. And I loved it from the standpoint that there were people that were, successful than you, but that's where you want to be. You want to be in the rooms with people that are successful, but then it's also up to you to ask them questions so that you learn, and they will gladly teach you as well and tell you what you should do.
yeah, asking questions are so important. I mean, and people don't realize that people are so willing to share that
Yes.
you just need to reach out and ask, and you'll get so much information. And then once you get that information, you kind of pick and choose and see which method or which style works best for you, and then you make it your own. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I just asked a question, I got all this information. You mentioned before about breaking out of that cocoon and then rewiring the way you think. Well, that then led to you having a podcast, you to speak on stages, you having a book out. Share with us more about that what do you call it, that path as to deciding to write a book and deciding to speak on stages and having a podcast. What did you go through to come up with all that?
Right. Well, the first step that came was I wanted to always write a book. And this is about 10 years ago when I found a mentor, and the mentor was Les Brown. And when I found Les Brown, he was at a conference here in Toronto, and I just signed up at the back of the room. And so I just signed up. I just said yes. I always say yes, and that's one of my strongest points at this point in life. Not when earlier on in my life, but now I always say yes. And so when I said yes, I didn't know what I was getting into, but Les Brown was coaching me. And I flew to Atlanta to be coached by Les Brown, and we were writing my book. That process of writing a book, as you know, Fong, was a process of about 2 years before, going back and forth writing that book. From that moment on, I was becoming confident. I was owning my voice. I was owning as to what, needs to happen in my life. And one led to another. So from the book, I was confident that I published my book. I was, very confident in my life as to where my life was going. I always had a passion to speak, to interview people, and whether it's celebrities, but interviewing people, to own my voice, to share that stage with other entrepreneurs, to learn about their stories, because at the end of the day we all have stories, and we all have amazing stories, but how can we bring those stories to light so that everyone is can benefit from our stories? And so from that moment, from the book, came a podcast that I began to, I have my podcast, Ask the Experts with ALKA. We have had amazing entrepreneurs on the show, and I'm always intrigued by the stories that they share with me. What has been their successes? What has been their failures? And how did they get to where they are? And from you are hugely successful, and I really appreciate everything that you are doing, absolutely just incredible. So this is how my journey began, from a book, then from a podcast to, uh, just empowering women today, with divorced women and how they too can lead a life of success.
That is totally awesome. And it goes to show what something as simple as writing a book, and I say as simple as writing a book is because you really just need to sit down and do it. And lots of people don't realize that it's as basically as easy as that. Is putting the dedication of time of writing that book. And then from there, you gain so much more. You gain the
Mhm.
confidence, you gain speak engagements, you gain connections, you gain credibility, and people are just unwilling to sit down and kind of write or put their thoughts together. Now, when we were talking about the transition, it's amazing what a short period of time, because you started real estate, you said in 2021, and it's only been 4 or 5 years from now. And in 5 years, you got the book out, you got a huge real estate portfolio, you got speaking, you got podcasts and all kind of stuff. Looking back, what would you say was the biggest aha moment for you? If you had to single it down to one aha moment, what would that be?
Wow. That's a $1 million question. What is that what is that aha moment? There have been quite a few aha moments. I would say, owning your power, owning my voice. I think owning my voice was the biggest because when I was inside that cocoon, in my after my divorce, I was not confident. I was not confident in the marriage. I wasn't confident, and that I lacked. So when we go through adversities, when we face those moments, that's what prepares you. That's what prepared me to becoming the best version of myself because I owned my space. I owned who I was and I owned who I needed to be. That's important, who I needed to be. And when you own who you are, that you weren't, but who you are becoming, I would say that was when I reflect on my life now, I would say that was one of the biggest moments, was the defining moment for me that I began to own who I was. Because before that, I lost my identity. And so slowly, we always have to, we have to pick ourselves up, we have to dust it off and, seek success. But to seek success, you have to first of all step out, to step in to that domain that you are entering. So slowly, the confidence just grew, and I'm so proud as to what has happened so far because without the confidence, without owning as to who I'm becoming, would not have been possible because if I didn't believe in myself, that that's that word again, believe, but that belief is always going to come in your life, but you need to know, is it do you actually see that, do you actually believe that in yourself? Because if you don't, then you're not going to succeed, you're not exactly going to be there 100% because that belief is not strong. You haven't cemented that belief 100% that you will achieve what you put out there. So that conviction, that belief in you has to be there. So to answer, that was a long answer, winded question, answer to your question, but I would say that yes, it was owning my power.
All right, so your power is owned by you now. It's solidified. You know who you are. Your confidence is sky high. You within 5 years, you're able to overcome that and build what you have now. What do you see coming to you in the next few years here? What are you building towards, and what are you looking for right now that will be able to help you to do so?
Thank you. That's a beautiful question. What I'm working on right now is my passion also is helping a divorced women. So post-divorced women who are rebuilding their identity, who are reclaiming back their power and authority base. So rebuilding your life. And why divorce? Why is that a passion? Why is that? Because as a divorcee, I know what I had gone through. I know what that feels like. I know as to what I need to do to turn my life around. And that's why I'm so passionate to helping women to, and that's why real estate, when I help them, is also helping them to get into investment, to be more confident, to be financially independent. You need to be self-reliant. It is so important that you have to be self-reliant. And so how I see my this, in the next 5 years is to building out chapters internationally so that women they can run with hosting events themselves and they can so building chapters is one of the things that I'm building right now. And building courses, hosting events. I just had an event actually last weekend, the Unstoppable Her event. It was truly just incredible. I mean, the feedback that I got from that truly has been amazing. And people just I was watching the feed as, people, putting in the comments. It was just incredible. So I think this Unstoppable Her is what I'm building out from in the future. It is going to come out with courses. I'm going to be building out. So I think the chapters, building out chapters international is where I'm seeing I want to go. And, we have a private Facebook group, the Unstoppable Her. I welcome everyone to, come. It's a safe space and, we empower one another. So that's the future. That's what's going to happen.
Awesome. Now, you've mentioned some of the first steps that people should take to building their confidence. You've mentioned some of the first steps for people to really finding themselves and owning themselves. I don't think we really dived into what are the first steps and going back to real estate for people to start in real estate who actually wants to jump out and do something and build a portfolio. What's the first steps for that?
The first step for that, you need to know, first of all, what is the niche that you are getting into? Is it wholesale, prehab? Is it multifamily, single family? What is that niche? Because without a niche, then how do you know? Because if you do everything, then you're not doing that one thing that you know it's going to lead to success. So I would say, first of all, figure out a niche. If working with a real estate agent too is also paramount because working with a realtor, they know firsthand as to the properties, the deals out there. Is it off-market deals that you want to look at? So working with a realtor is going to be your safe bet. One tip I will share, the realtor also has to match your goals. So work with a realtor who has a knowledge about investing. They've done investments. They've got a huge portfolio of themselves. So working with a realtor is going to be important. And then, that's second point. And the first point is to know your niche. This is how you need to start when you are working, as you are getting into real estate investing.
Great tips there for people who are thinking about doing real estate. And I guess the very first thing to do after hearing that information is going out there and actually applying it. Going out there and
Absolutely.
scheduling times with realtors and kind of vetting them out to see which one you want to work with. And then the process starts going. You start learning more and gaining more knowledge and gaining more confidence, which is the whole basis of everything that people need in order to become
Yes.
successful. Uh, I'm gonna end our formal discussion right now here. I know you have lots of stuff to do and you have lots of people to inspire, but before I let you go, I got five quick rapid fire questions. Give me the first thing that comes to mind. This is for fun. You ready?
Ready? Absolutely.
You're stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life. What would that be with no consequence?
With one fruit, I would say
One food.
banana. Oh, one food?
Yeah, any food.
I would say a banana.
So healthy. The people who usually pick fruit are very healthy people. Hollywood calls and goes, "Hey, Alka, we love your story. Very, very inspiring, very motivational. We would love to do a biopic of you. Who would you cast to play you?"
I would cast Elizabeth Hurley.
She shows up at your door and goes, "Hey, I got cast to play you. Let's hang out. Let's have some fun. Let's get to know each other." What does that night look like? You got it all planned out. What are you gonna do with her?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we're gonna go for a beautiful dinner. Then we're gonna brainstorm as to how we're gonna make out that scene work, and then we're gonna fly to Los Angeles.
Very nice. You're in a car, and this car ride goes for hours on end. For some reason, there's only one song that's stuck on repeat. What song do you like listening to all the time?
What's that one song? It's by Andre Bocelli, and I love his music, so I'll be playing that.
Very, very classy. Um, Give me a number from 1 to 4.
Seven, three.
1, 2, 3. So the word is doghouse. And if you had to use the word doghouse as a metaphor for success, how is success like a doghouse?
House success at the doghouse
Yes, as a metaphor. So success is like a doghouse because
because it's how you're living your life every day.
mhm, it's one of those
It's
things
how
that
you're living your life every day, and that's how you need to lead to success. Is how do you lead your life every single day, and that's what you're going to be doing.
awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. Any final words from you? It's been a blast. I've learned a lot. I've heard a lot of your stories, and it's always a lot of fun. Any final words?
Yeah, absolutely. Just keep on crushing whatever you're doing and whatever endeavor you plan to get into, whether it's real estate, whether it's a fitness or a beauty salon. Own, dominate that space, and but believe that it is possible and you will achieve your success. But without the belief, there is no point of doing what you're endeavoring to get into. So believe together with the actions that you are building out will lead to your success.
Awesome. Nicely done. And then what's the best way for people to get in touch with you and also get your book?
Absolutely. Well, the book is available on Amazon. From Cocoon to CEO, Living the Life of Your Dreams. It's available on Amazon, and you can get in touch with me on Instagram at ALKA SHARMA CEO.
Awesome. Well,
And
thank
I'll
you
be
very
more than
much.
happy to connect. Yes.
Awesome. So everybody out there, make sure you get in touch with Alka, find her on Instagram, and also get a copy of her book. I'm sure it's a great read because of that journey that people go through when it comes to being stuck and coming out of that and rewiring your mindset towards success. So once again, thank you very much for your time. For everybody else, until next time, today is the day to talk to Peak Potential. She's Alka. My name's Fong. Thank you very much. We'll see you later.
Thank you so much, Fong. Amazing. Thank you so much.